Hello, good afternoon all. As I stated in my previous video, I have a cooking channel known as Cooking Delights, and I cook French, American, British, Caribbean, Asian, Italian, and some Chinese cuisine. The last menu that I cooked, it was Parma ham with mango and also grapefruit. Today I'll be cooking beef with brown sauce, which is also known as Espanole. It's a French word. And white rice and also seasonal vegetables. But before I start, I just like to give some history of the food that I'm going to prepare. The Espanole brown sauce, it's actually a French word for Spanish, but it is not originally from Spain. It's originally from France, and it's a word that the French cooks used to use, and it is also called brown sauce as well. It is used for steaks and beef, and it is also made from one of the mother sauces, and the sauce was originally made by Auguste Escoffier. That's the chef who actually created that sauce from his mother sauces. I'm going to be using carrot as well. It's an orange color, and the word for carrot was originally out of England in the 1530s, and it was borrowed from the French, and that word is spelled C-A-R-O-T-T-E, carotte, as French. I'll be using celery as well. Celery is from the English, and the English spelled it as S-E-L-L-E-R-Y, celery. And this was done by John Elvin in 1664. And the modern English word that we know celery as, which is C-E-L-E-R-Y, it was derived from the French word celery, which is C-E-L-E-R-I. Okay? I'll be using onion in my menu as well. And the Latin word for onion is cepa, C-E-P-A. And it was first cultivated in 1753. Rice is going to be a part of my menu as well. Rice is a very common staple food known mostly in Asia and Africa. And it's like half of the world population use rice. Most people that I know eat rice. Then I'm going to be speaking about food safety and food hygiene, because that is a big thing with food. So if you have a cough, a cold, or if you're sick, please do not cook food for anyone to eat. Also, when you have to prepare food, make sure that you're wearing clean clothes, your nails are short, and you do not have long nails or painted nails. And if you're suffering with certain illnesses, like hepatitis, if you have diarrhea, as I said, if you have a cold, you do not cook food for people to eat. If you choose to cook it for yourself, you're fine, but do not cook food for people to eat. Also, if you have a cut, say for example, you were using a knife and you got a cut, make sure that you get a bandage and you bandage that cut, and you place your hand in a glove while you're preparing food. Another thing, as I mentioned earlier in my first video, when you're eating, do not touch your face, your hair, and eat while you're preparing. And you cover your hair while you're preparing food. If your hair is long, you pull it back in a bun, and you put on a hat on your head if you're preparing professionally for anybody to eat. Now, if you're doing it for yourself and you want to go without a hair net or a hat on your head, You can, it's your choice. But if you're preparing it for other people to eat, kindly do that person a favor and, you know, kindly be kind enough to that individual to do that. And lastly, when you're cooking as well, make sure that your area that you're cooking, the area is clean. You have a clean area to cook. So today now, I'm going to be starting to cook my beef with brown sauce, which is also considered another name as Espanole sauce. So I'm just going to go and pick those ingredients. Give me just a minute. Let me show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so today we're not going to be doing ready to eat food. So you don't need a glove. All you need is clean fingers, short nails. You don't need a glove. So this is what I'm going to be preparing. These are roughly cut vegetables. And this is what I'm going to be putting on the beef as a mirepoix. And when I say mirepoix, it's just simply roughly cut vegetables. So I have my carrots. I have celery, pumpkin, white potato. But for the mirepoix of vegetables, it's only celery, onions, and carrots with bay leaf. That's a mirepoix of vegetables. It's a French word which meaning roughly cut vegetables. That is all the word mirepoix means. Onions, celery, carrots, and bay leaf. But I added these, the pumpkin and the white potato, just to give it some color. Because as a chef, you should be very creative, because that is what cooking is all about. Culinary arts is the art of cooking, and you should be very creative. So I just add these to it, just to give it some color. So now I'm going to get my beef, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. As I said, we're not eating ready to cook meals, so you can actually prepare this without gloves. Give me just a minute. So I have here today my beef. This, I wash my beef. This is how I wash my beef. I first rinse off all that grime from off of it. I wash it with some plain water. And then after I finish wash it with some plain water, I use some vinegar and lemon juice to rinse it. And after I use the vinegar and the lemon juice to rinse it, I take a clean napkin, not cloth, and I tap all the water from off of it. And then I have this green seasoning that I use. I make this green seasoning, and this green seasoning, it has onions, garlic, green pepper, and sometimes what I do, I will chop the green onion and put in it as well. But if there's no green onion, you're good with just the onion, the garlic, and the green pepper. But if you have green onion, you can use green onions. And then for my seasoning, I put some olive oil. If you don't have olive oil, you don't have to go out there and buy olive oil. You can use the regular corn oil, okay? So after I finish, I get my salt and pepper and all my spices that I have. And I put my green seasoning, and I season this beef for a few days in order for that seasoning to soak in, okay? So this is how it is. Now I'm going to pour it in the baking pan. So I don't need to put any oil in the baking pan, because this has beef and it also has a lot of oil in the beef. If you can look at these white spots, you see these white spots here? This is actually oil that is gonna it's gonna come from the beef after you put it in an oven. So I also have my oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. That is regular baking. Now if you want to reduce it to 275 or 300, you're good. But I usually bake at the regular cooking temperature, which is 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is it. I'm going to put it now in the baking pan. So now I'm putting it here in the baking pan. Putting it here in the baking pan. Oh God, I can't see it's here, the baking pan. Now I'm going to be pouring the vegetables over it. These are the vegetables. Vegetables are over the meat. So this is how it should be. Okay, that's it right here. Vegetable over the meat. Then I'm going to use just a dash of my green seasoning just to put on these vegetables, because the vegetables, they do not have any seasoning on them. Okay, and then after that, I'm going to put just a little salt and pepper on them. So this is my olive oil. I'm going to be pouring some olive oil on these vegetables as well. So the olive oil, because as I said, they do not have any seasoning. They do not have any olive oil. I just recently chop them. This is my pepper, so I'm just going to put some pepper over this. Okay, and then I have my salt. I'm going to put some salt on these. This is salt. So when you salt and you're cooking for people, try to avoid too much salt, because there's certain people who suffers with high blood pressure, and salt is not a good combination for people who suffer with high blood pressure. Now, if you put salt in the food, make sure you put it that it has taste, but not too salty, because you can always adjust your salt after you finish cook. But if it is too salt, you cannot adjust it. Okay, so this is what I'm going to put in the oven. So my oven is already heated. It's at 350 degrees, so I'm going to put it in the oven now, okay? And also what I usually do is when I'm baking, I usually put a piece of foil paper over my vegetables so that heat will steam into those vegetables and allow them to cook as well. So I am going to put a piece of foil paper over those vegetables as well, okay? So this is it. File paper is over the vegetables. So now I will be doing my rice. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be sauteing the rice with some of this green seasoning, a little olive oil, and then after I finish sauteing that, I'm going to put some salt and pepper. Then I'm going to pour some water. Now, if you prefer to use stock, you can use chicken stock or beef stock to cook your rice. But I usually use just plain water because it already has salt and pepper. So I don't really need to put the stock, because stock in itself, it has salt, and I'm trying to avoid too much salt. So I just use some plain water. Okay? Give me just a minute.